Hello everyone, today we are talking about CAA Industries Micro Roni and how the ATF on one specific occasion ruled that one specific Micro Roni that was submitted to them for review was in fact an SBR when the Glock pistol was put inside of it. We're going to talk about some of the backstory to get you up to speed about what these products are and are not, and then we're going to talk about the actual situation that went on. I want to say thank you to John Crump for bringing this to our attention. He brought a lot of stuff to our attention about the various ATF scandals that were going on, and it's just very important for us to be aware of this kind of thing because it's an ever-evolving situation. Now, I want to say thank you to everyone that supports this channel. For those of you that might be asking, what is that back there? That is a 3D printed California legal AR-15. If you want to know more about that, you're going to want to make sure that you subscribe and turn notifications on. Thank you to everyone that is a member of the Subscribe Star. You will get first access to that video. Let's jump right into it. So this article here, ATF Criminal Branch confusing evaluation of a single CAA Industries Micro Roni. Now, let's talk about this because there are two companies that have very similar names that are almost impossible to differentiate. So what we're going to pull down here just to show you my screen, you see these two tabs here, the MCK Micro Conversion Kit and the CAA Industries. So I'm going to go over to this first one. This is CAA Industries, the Israeli company that is being targeted or involved with this actual article here. This is not to be confused from the totally separate company CAA Gear Up or CAA USA. Now, same exact logo pretty much. Very similar naming structures. It seems as if CAA Gear Up goes with the MCK as their model names. Very similar products to what you see here, the Micro Ronis made by CAA Industries. So, just to differentiate, I know that was about as clear as mud, but that's about as clear as it gets. Apparently, somewhere along the line, and now I'm paraphrasing and gonna murder the actual story, but somewhere along the line, family members, people that ran the business, did not like each other. It split up. Legal battles ensued. Who actually owned the rights was up for debate, but some people had money, some people didn't. Now there are two separate companies. Turns out, the ATF didn't even know that they were separate companies. So yeah, in this particular instance, a single CAA Industries Micro Roni under evaluation and equipped with an arm brace was a short-barreled rifle, which is pretty confusing, right? This is not to be considered an alarm for everyone to be like, hey, I'm illegal now because I have the MCK or I have the Micro Roni. There's been no charges, no public letter, no real determination from the ATF, just that this one specific product that they received was an SBR. And we'll talk about why they specifically went about doing that in a second. But it kind of just elaborates this kind of confusion that gets brought up when it's talking about this because, the ATF says, hey, if it's a certain weight or length, but what weight or length matters? If it's got a length of pull over or under a certain number, but what really matters? If it has extra grips, but then it doesn't say that any of those individual features or those calibers or whatever it is, it's not objective. They're taking these objective characteristics and judging them subjectively to determine whether or not that firearm in that exact scenario is a short-barreled rifle or is in fact a braced pistol. Now, in the original report embedded below, which I will have links down below, February 5th, 2019, the ATF states that they received a Glock 19 Gen 4 pistol and a CAA Industries Micro Roni stabilizer device on October 9th, 2018. According to the special agent and the investigator Nate Anderson, the product's description, the manufacturer made the brace out of stiff rubber material that was 1 inch wide by 2 inches long. The brace also had flexible rubber-like straps that extended downwards approximately 3 inches. The ATF agent noted that the brace resembled a stock and remarked that the device fits comfortably into one's shoulder, which ultimately I think is kind of a BS statement because there's all kinds of braces out there that are approved by the ATF that do actually in fact fit in your shoulder. Whether or not they're designed to be that way is irrelevant and the NFA is ultimately unconstitutional, but that's a conversation for a totally different day. Anderson does note that the CAA Industries say that the rubber flaps are designed to fit over the forearm with the Velcro straps to provide additional security. He does note that the product allows the user to use the handgun with increased functionality and stability, but then they later talk about how the fact that it's got a barrel under 16 inches, it's an SBR. They're saying that the Micro Roni, because the kit itself is heavier than the pistol and is in fact very heavy, defeats the purpose of stabilizing the Glock, because now you've added this contraption which is so heavy that it itself would need stabilization, which is kind of a weird thing because it doesn't really matter whether or not it is heavy. If it's effective, which they note that it is effective at stabilizing that, wouldn't it then be a stabilizing brace? It doesn't matter if the overall weight is increased. I can put the freaking Hubble telescope on a Glock. That doesn't make it an SBR. Ultimately, it's just kind of a weird way that they're using it to determine whether or not it is or isn't a stabilizing brace and is in fact a stock. It then goes on to state that the main reason that they called it a stabilizing brace was because of the forward portion of the accessory has a thumb rest. So just to give you a photo of that, this here, right here, the ATF is saying that because it has that thumb rest at the forward position, that is leading to them determining that the gun is not designed to be fired with one hand. Well, newsflash, bucko, handguns can be and are designed to be fired with two hands. Is this bolt action Glock, which is a topic for another day when we get talking about 3D printing legally in the state of California, a Glock? We'll talk about that at a later date. Again, if you want to be the first one to see those videos, subscribe star. So this gun here, I can shoot it with one hand. It is designed to be able to be shot with one hand. Adding two hands makes it better. And in fact, it's got design characteristics that allow me to place my thumb up here on the front, like that little gas pedal. Does that make this not a firearm designed to be fired with one hand? If I were to put a brace on this, just a very simple brace on this, would that then make it a stock? Really what you need to know here is that everything is confusing. The ATF doesn't make sense. The ATF doesn't want this to be clear. If you have one of these products, it might be one of those things that you might have to make the personal decision of how visible do you want that to be. The odds of you, now I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, the odds of you ever getting stopped by the ATF, by the DOJ, by anyone is very low. When you have a product like this, specifically for a lot of my viewers in the state of California, probably not the best idea to have, because in California we get into the whole assault weapon laws. But for many of you in other states, if you have one of these, specifically if you have the CAA Industries Micro Roni, you might want to consider whether or not you have that thumb rest on it if you're looking to go the route of compliance. If you're looking to go the route of non-compliance, more power to you. Just understand the risks that do come with that. This is kind of a weird situation. The ATF is going to continue to make this about as clear as mud, about as clear as the relationship between CAA Industries and CAA Gear Up or CAA USA. It's a very odd situation. I don't mean to cause alarm when I'm talking about this, but it goes to show how inept the ATF truly is when they discuss the fact that apparently CAA USA had no clue that this was going on within CAA Industries, because the ATF never told CAA USA because they thought they were the same company. Now, ultimately, it doesn't really matter because the products are different. While they might share a lot of the same design characteristics and they might be almost identical, this is not an open letter from the ATF saying, hey, all CAA Industries products, the Micro Ronis, are in fact, when installed on a Glock, are in fact shoulderable and are in fact shouldering stocks, therefore would be subject to the NFA. So if you put a shorter than 16-inch barrel on a non-SBR Glock in one of these Micro Ronis, see how complicated that sentence was? They aren't saying that every single one of these stabilizing braces are in fact always going to be a stock when you put your Glock in it, but in one instance, the special agent and the investigator determined that the Micro Roni was in fact a SBR when installed on this Gen 4 Glock. I don't like that. If you're buying one of these products, clearly your goal is to comply with the law to the minimum level possible while still allowing yourself to have a functional product. So if you're going to go this route, it might be conducive for you to maybe not post about it on the internet, not get caught with it at the range. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of public ranges to begin with. If you can find BLM land, way out there in the middle of nowhere, that's always the better route anyway. But, just something to think about, something to consider whether or not you're going to be purchasing these products in the future, whether or not you're going to be being so publicly open about it. That's entirely up to you. I'm not making any sort of advice. Do not go attack CAA Gear Up or CAA Industries. This is kind of just one of those things where it's a little bit of a weird situation. ultimately you're going to have to decide what you do for yourself. You know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace. Wait, hang on. Before I even show you this, I got to cover up my serial number that I applied for. Now, this is a U-Bolt Vanguard. I 3D printed it. Legal in the state of California. If you want to know more about that, make sure you're subscribed. A lot of people lately have been saying, it kind of goes in waves, YouTube unsubscribes people. That's been happening a lot more often lately. It kind of chilled out for a few months, but it seems like YouTube is back at it. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications. I will talk about how I did this legally in the state of California to have a AR-15 3D printed in the state of California. It's an interesting topic. Thank you.